all, okay? So from my personal opinion, it was most of them.
Okay.
There were a few decent ones. It just didn't work out right. It just so happened that I don't know why I consider the other ones, but for me it was kind of like they were either too religious, and what I mean by that is appear too religious, but are actually wolves in sheep's clothing, like my father would say.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
Or they were the clubbing type. So I kind of like was like, can't I just find someone like my father? You know, at that time my father didn't even have a beard. You don't have to appear religious. You just, you know, if he's trying to do the basics, he doesn't need to lie and say I'm praying 5 times a day. You know, why are you going to lie and impress me? Just be like, you know, I try my best, right? And we can work it together, right? So it was just like a lot of weird experiences, and then the same guys proposing to me, proposing to my friends, you know. And I'm like, what's going on, kind of thing. I just got really fed up. I started working 2 jobs, and then my dad was like, you know, I don't want you to end up like Mother Teresa.
Right.
So I was like, okay. Anyways, I kind of was fed
Iman,
up. It
do
was
you
really
feel
random
better off
people.
as a single mom now than than the situation you were in when you were married? Do you feel better off?
Definitely. For me personally, I mean, for me, I always thought, okay, I'm gonna work through it till the end. That's it for my daughter. But I ended up in hospital many times. Sorry if I get emotional.
That's okay.
My daughter did too, and this guy was kind of like, you know what? If you start working again, you know, I'll come back to you. Like, how dare he? How dare he do that when he's a Muslim man, right? It's my choice if I work or not. If I go out and work, who's going to look after my daughter? Do you understand? I've got younger siblings that my parents have to take care of as well. So for me, you know, seeing your videos, I swear, I'm not gonna lie, it made my blood boil. I was like, oh, I wanted to say I hate you, but then I was like, you know what? I want to know what Mehdi's about, because the thing is, I like, maybe everyone's misjudged you. Maybe you're not the way that you seem. Maybe you've made some mistakes in your video, right? But I want you to make it clear to everyone that you're not generalizing about all the single women. Maybe you've had some bad experiences, you know, because it is really offensive. And I looked up to you. So when I looked at your videos, I was like, you know, in the beginning, I was like, Alhamdulillah, you know what, this is a real man. I followed you, I commented, I didn't like it when people were saying negative things to you, even though I don't know you, but just because you're my Muslim brother, you know? So when I saw these videos, I was just like, whoa. So I just want you to make it clear to everyone that you're not generalizing, right? What issues do you have with single moms, and what type of single moms do you have issues with? Do you know what I mean? I do have issues with the ones that just, you know, use men and then leave them and are like, yeah, we can do better off without you because we're empowered. Because
Okay.
obviously you've made it clear now that you don't have an issue with women like me, who that wasn't in my control, you know.
Well, thank you for asking that question. Look, بكل محظور مع الضرورة. Every prohibition has its exception. Okay, every rule has its exception. There will always be exceptions to the rule. Now, it's not. I don't know whether you're an exception to the rule. I don't know this, but I do know that there are exceptions to the rule always. And yes, my videos made out like I was painting a brush with everyone, and this is not true. There will always be exceptions to the rule. However, I will explain to you what the reasoning is if I was to speak to a young man, to a brother, why I would say to him, you need to really understand what situation you're getting yourself into here. Okay? All right. I took a couple of notes, so I might refer to them sometimes. Firstly and foremostly, I'm not too sure if you're aware of the divorce rates in the West right now, but they're alarmingly high. So on your first marriage already, it's 50%. It's toss a coin, heads or tails, whether you stay together or not. It's that bad. But then as you progress through the relationships, it goes up linearly. So if you get divorced, the likelihood, of getting divorced a second time is 64%. And then a third time, 71%. And on it goes. And this is why I mentioned that, yes, you mentioned in one of your videos that if a woman has been married, even if it's multiple times, at least it was in halal. I agree with you. At least it was in halal, better than haram. But what I am saying to the men, and by the way, I'm talking to an audience that are not necessarily Muslim, so it's difficult to distinguish sometimes. But what I say to the young men is, or any man for that matter, is if you're coming across a woman who's been through multiple long-term relationships, or for non-Muslims out there, that would be multiple sexual partners, the likelihood of her leaving the relationship increases as you go through each marriage, as you go through each relationship. And 70% of all divorces are initiated by women. So this is why I keep saying she. So I say to a young man, or I say to a brother, I say to him, Akhi, look, you need to understand what you're signing yourself up for here. Do you want to build something? If I was a betting man, I want to build something with an individual who's going to give me the best opportunity to do so. Now, bear in mind, by the way, I'm married to a sister who was married twice before me. Now, she's not a divorcee,
Alhamdulillah.
she's a widow. Her first husband died, and her second husband, he basically went into a coma for the rest of his life. Like a terrible, terrible, terrible thing happened. Okay, so I'm her third husband. But you see, even though I am doing what I am essentially doing what I advise not to do, there will always be exceptions to the rule, and I don't like talking about those exceptions. Generally
Yes.
speaking, when you're going to deal with a woman who's been through multiple marriages, you need to understand that the chances of your marriage working out, well, the odds are stacked against you. This is the first point. The second point is you have, as a man coming into a marriage with a single mum, you have all the responsibility and none of the authority. I'll give you an example. Are you at liberty to say where your ex-husband lives in the world? Is he in the UK or is he abroad?
He's abroad.
He's
He's
abroad.
abroad now.
Okay. So how would let's paint an example. You get married again to a brother. Okay. This brother walks into the household. You have a child. This child occasionally will need disciplining. This doesn't necessarily mean beating, but disciplining meaning, I don't know, take her toys away or, discipline, whatever the word discipline means to you. How would your ex-husband feel about this new man who has no relationship to this young lady, this young girl, your daughter? How would he feel about this man disciplining your daughter?
Oh, I'll be honest with you, and this is the main reason that I left my ex-husband was he didn't care about my child. He never wanted my child. When I was pregnant, he acted like it was a funeral. Okay, him and his mom were not happy. They didn't want her from day go.
Mm.
And when I said to him that when I was applying for his visa, and I said, it's going to strengthen our case, your visa, because you've got a daughter. That's the only reason that they were happy. So when he came, he'd be like, "Oh, she's crying all night. Why is she ending up in hospital?" Because he made like 3 guest appearances in our life when I kept letting him come back and forth, right? And I was like, oh, you know
Guest
what,
appearances.
maybe he's learned. So yeah, guest appearances, as in like I would end up in hospital doing the night shifts with her because she's obviously seeing him coming back, going, it's Baba, it's her Baba,
Right.
coming, going, what's happening?
Right.
And to the point where the third time that he came, and you wouldn't believe this, he came with his friend, and she was not even 1.5, and he he's her father, and he extends over to shake her hand, and you know what she does? She goes no. This is a 1 years and 3 months, and can you believe it? She was speaking, and she goes, Baba, Baba. She's pointing at my father. She calls my dad, Baba, and I'm so grateful that she has that role model in her life. So she loves my brother, and she goes Baba. But guess what? She shook his friend's hand. She had never seen his friend in her life. But obviously, can you believe a child who can barely speak, the trauma that he put her through? There's a lot of things that I can't speak about,
Absolutely.
but we went through. So he said to me, and he says till date, and it's not about the money. It's never been about the money. I've worked. I lost my job due to Corona, but right now, he says, okay, if you want, because obviously I kept letting him come back, and by the third time it got too much. My dad says, tell the Home Office now, because he's going to keep making your life hell. He's not going to let you move on, right? And he said, if you try and move on, I'm going to come in. And I said, but you don't care about us anyways. So I gave him the opportunity to meet her. I said, if you can't come here, I warned him before I told the Home Office. He didn't care. He would just shut the phone calls trying to blackmail me. Although you still can get to know her abroad. So let us come. I've kept all the proof just in case my daughter ever asks me, Mama, why did you do this? I kept everything. It was at the point where he was so manipulative. I had to start recording him because I thought I'm going to go insane. My dad hadn't even seen that, and I don't want to record people, but I was like, he's making me look like the bad one in front of his parents and my parents. I said, let her come. Maybe we can. And I took a khulla,
Yes,
and it took me like, come on. I got married in 2014, and it finalized in January this year. So Can you imagine how many chances I gave him? On and off. My mom and dad are like, just end it. You're young yet. You can move on. And I was like, it's so easy moving on, but you know what? To persevere and be like, no, we can, it's easier to try and rectify something rather than move on, in my opinion. But
Well, I mean,
only if they want to
you're
change.
right. It's not easy to move on. By the way, it's hard to move on. It's hard to
Yeah,
rebuild from scratch. It's hard. I've
yeah,
done it. I know. Well, it's not necessarily. I don't want to use the word easy. It's still hard to fix what you have, but on the balance of probabilities, oftentimes it's better to fix what you have. Now, look, everyone has their situation, and I haven't heard your
yeah,
husband's side of the story, and I can go on. I can only go on
yeah.
what you're telling me, and based upon what you're telling
So
me,
he
the
basically,
situation is
Mahdi,
clear.
he basically said, I'll be a part of her life. So can you imagine? I kept letting him come back. He goes, I'll give her maintenance if you let me come back a fourth time. But it's too late. Does that make sense? Like he's mentally affected her so much. Even like I bloody like the hospital thought I had a stroke. Till date, they didn't know what was wrong with me. They were like, you've got some stress going on,
Mm.
right? I had to be, in a hostel in Berkshire, right? And then in Buckinghamshire and all sorts. And I said to him, like, for the love of Allah, like, let us come abroad. He said, I'm not going to open the doors to you guys. So his parents misguided him. They said, if our son is wrong, we're still going to take his side. Like,
Mm.
if his parents had just guided him to the right and be like, focus on your family, not misguiding him, it could have worked. So I also say that it is another problem. My dad said to me that these days you get phones, right?
Yeah.
If a guy comes from abroad, he was like constantly, nothing wrong with him being in touch with his family, but constantly, day and night, come back from work on the phone, getting brainwashed. My dad said, in my dad's time, he goes, we'd have letters, right? Every few months, I'd post my mom and dad a letter,
Right.
and there was no, that interference. Do you understand?
Mm.
So, as far as I would have loved for him to be a part of my daughter's life, and that's why, till date, I cry, and it hurts me because there are women, right, who stop their husbands, ex-husbands, from seeing their children. And I'm here. I've done the khullah, and I still say to him, he contacts me by email, and I say to him, prove yourself. Start her maintenance. Prove it's not about the money. I support her. I go, prove yourself. Prove that you are her father, right? He sold my gold. My gold. I said, I made his life so easy. I said, sell my wedding gold and give her maintenance from that. He sold it and he used it for himself. He is a professional, an engineer. And I found out he had all these different businesses, and he says, if you let me come back, I'll support her. Why should a father be conditional upon where he is in the world? A father should be a father. I have seen men who are hardworking laborers, who make bricks, who make, houses, who work in the dirt, and they're still supporting their families. What excuse does this educated man have?
Mm.
So I never ever, I used to always beg him, and I say, for the love of Allah, I don't want my daughter getting, like, mentally have these, these issues growing up. I don't have a father, or this and that. And she does say a lot of times, Mama, I want a Baba. He didn't care about you. He used to fight all the time. And I say to her, it's not easy.
Mm.
It's not easy for Mama to have a Baba, because I have to make sure that he will be your, like, mahram. He becomes a mahram. He will take care of you. He will love you. It's so, and it is hard moving on. And the reason that why it's not, and Mahdi, you all, can I say another thing? You said the sexual value or something of a woman is decreased or something like that. You said, right? She's here, by the way. I only lived with him 3 months in England. Okay, just 3 months. That's nothing, relationships. And so in total, it was about 6-7 months.
Right.
That's nothing, in my opinion, because if you think about relations these days, they go on for years. So as far as that's concerned, alhamdulillah, I've had many proposals.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking, Iman?
I turned 32.
Okay,
I look younger, but yeah. So the reason I want you to give hope to single women as well, because for me, alhamdulillah, I've had many proposals from guys who are like 20, 21, 22. And
So
when
why
I
didn't you
ask them,
take
and I
them?
say,
Why didn't you take them?
yeah, exactly, because I obviously have to, like, learn from my mistakes and see, are they going to be misguided by the family and these things. So some of them that showed interest, and yeah, we really want to marry you. Why do you want to marry me when I'm like 32 and you're 22 or you're 20? Because they say girls our age go clubbing, they do this and that, everything under the sun. You're very transparent and you look younger, they say. Okay, so alhamdulillah. But when it comes to their family, and for example, their family saying, oh no, her age, or we rather you marry someone, do you know what I mean, that we say, things like that, then they kind of get like, oh no, they're stuck between their family and me. So I'm like, look,
Well,
you
what
make
I'm
your mind up.
understanding
Do you?
here is the men who have proposed themselves to you, they themselves are at a point in their lives that their sexual market value is low. Men, when they're young, we peak later than women. Like women come into their prime quicker than us because we're judged on different attributes. You see,
Yeah.
men are
And,
performers. We have to perform, and that performance
yeah.
takes time to build. Women, beautiful, beautiful creatures, right? And that comes into their prime much quicker. Not just that, they grow up quicker than us mentally. Like
Yeah.
you're 31, 32, you said, right? You can imagine the difference in maturity between yourself and a 20-year-old. He's a man, but really he's a boy. Are you with me?
Exactly. And that's another issue, Mehdi, because for me, it's like I remember when I was 20 and I remember how much I changed, from 20 to 25. And that's a guy, and they mature a lot later from what
Yeah,
I've seen.
yeah,
A lot of them will start
absolutely.
maturing at 25.
Yeah,
So for me,
that's
there's an
after that.
uncertainty. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, my daughter just turned 5 and he's just 20, all these things. So there's so
So,
much I
how
have to
many
think about.
proposals have you had from individuals who are in your sphere, whom you would want to get with?
I've so it's kind of weird because I don't. When I was in uni, obviously I knew people my age, kind of thing. Now I don't kind of know people my age, apart from when we went into our Umrah group. That was about 2, 3 people my age range, right? Other than that, it's been through family, friends, or faraway relatives who are
Yeah.
like 5, 10 years older.
Mm.
But then again, the problem I have there, Mehdi, is a lot of them will not want me to wear the hijab. They're
Okay.
Muslims.
Mm.
They're like, choose us, but we'll accept you, but just don't wear the hijab. Like, I can't.
Of
I'm
course,
not
of
going to
course.
do that
Oh,
for a man.
you don't even need to explain that. Of course.
Yeah.
Um.
So it's such an imbalance of everything. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Okay. I've had a brain block. My brain is completely blocked. My brain is complete. Okay. Ask me another question. It's better for me to put the ball in
Yes.
your court and you ask me.
Yeah. So so you know as well, right, Mehdi, that it doesn't actually decrease a woman's sexual value, right? So alhamdulillah, it doesn't
What
matter what
doesn't?
age
What
a woman
doesn't?
is.
What doesn't?
You said I can't remember. It was something. You said, was it being a single mother? You said it decreases her sexual value. I can't remember. It was something you said about something decreasing her sexual value. I wish I had made notes, but
Okay,
I
let's
just
talk about
forgot
that.
about the live.
I'll talk about that. What is sexual market value? All right. Men and women have sexual market value alike. Okay. Whether we like it or not, we're in a market. It's not emotional, by the way. It is what it is. If I create a product today and the market doesn't like it, it doesn't matter what I think of it. If I think I'm a 10 out of 10 and the sexual market thinks I'm a 2 out of 10, it doesn't matter what I think. I'm a 2 out of 10. That's just the way it goes. So, sexual market value. What do men and women alike value in each other? You're a woman. Let's start off with that. What do you value in a man? Let's say, give me the top 3 things you value after Dean and so on and so forth, so that we can make this, for everyone to be able to understand. What do you value?
His character is so important. His manners,
Hmm.
For me personally, I'll be honest with you, yeah, there should be attraction, but for me that's a secondary thing,
Hmm.
because there could be someone, and I've seen in life, there could be someone who proposed to me who's very good looking,
Hmm.
but he could just have such an ugly personality.
Absolutely.
Like, he could, like, a player type personality, or just not know how to speak, be so rude
Yeah.
and like narcissist like, and that's just a put off for me. I'm like, no, I'd rather go for someone I'm not that attracted to, but has like a pure soul,
Absolutely.
like just that,
And
because
women
that's
tend
going to
to
be
be
long
more.
lasting.
Women tend to be deeper like that. They can see beyond the surface things. Men, not so
Yeah.
much. Women tend to be a bit deeper. Okay. There's a brother who's a present. I have a feeling how you're going to answer this, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to ask you anyway. There's a brother who presents himself to you. He ticks all the right boxes. However, unfortunately, he's very poor. He lives at home with his mum. What's your next move?
I'll be honest with you. For me, it's not about. I'd want him to work. Obviously, I'd say, come on, you're a man. It doesn't matter if he lives with his mom. It's so hard. Like, I wouldn't take a mortgage out, because of the halal haram issue,
Hmm.
the haram issues. So if he's living with his mom, there's no issue with that. I'm a single mother. My daughter's living with me.
Hmm.
Nothing. I don't need like a rich guy.
I had a
For
feel.
me, I
I
just
had a
need a
feeling you
human
were going to
being.
say that, but that's because of your dean, and that's very praiseworthy, by the way. This is not criticism. Okay. In general, women, as a result of biology, tend to be hypergamous by nature. Are you familiar with the word hypergamy?
You said that in one of your videos. Was it?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Okay,
Can't
so
remember what that
generally
was about
speaking,
though.
women tend to marry across and up dominance hierarchies, and men tend to marry across and down dominance hierarchies. What does that mean? That means women tend to pair up with someone who's stronger than them, smarter than them, can show them the
Yes, that was in
way,
your
can
video.
take care of them, can give me security, so on and so on and so on. Okay? Men operate in the opposite fashion. We tend to marry across and down. We want to find a spouse whom we can take care of. Why? And I said this to my wife the other day. I said to her, I wouldn't want to marry a woman richer than me. She said, why? I said, because I wouldn't be able to feel like a man around her. And she said to me, but isn't that just you being insecure? I said to her, okay. I said to her, I come home one day. You spent 2 hours putting your makeup on. You look beautiful. You bought £900 pair of Louboutin shoes. You're looking amazing. I come in, I look at you like a wall, and then I tell her, I say, Salaam alaikum, and I walk away from you. How do you feel? She said to me, I'd feel insecure. I'd feel like, what's wrong with me? Am I ugly? What's going on? I said, that's how we feel when we can't take care of our women. You'll see a lot of, dating coaches say women don't share their money. Women don't want to share their money with their men. I'll go one step further and say, we don't want your money because we want to be able to take care of our women. It's in our nature. We are hardwired. It's how we feel men. It's how we feel masculine. It's how we feel like men. Just as a woman likes to feel like a woman when she beautifies herself and she gets that acknowledgement from her partner. She feels feminine. She's in her feminine state. A man equally is in his masculine state when he is able to take care of a woman. Now, there will always be exceptions to the rule, and by the sounds of it,
Of course, yeah,
your
because not
your
everyone's like that.
ex-husband
Yeah.
is an exception to the rule, but I'm speaking in general terms. Generally
And
speaking,
I don't take, I just take like, I just wear lipstick, to be honest. He was very lucky, alhamdulillah, in that sense. I don't take 2 hours getting ready, but if I don't gun the women down that do that, I
right,
know that it's due to insecurities. We got to get that straight as well. It's due to the media, right? You know, you see guys here who want like a perfect wife, and then you see them commenting on women's videos who have tons of makeup on, right? They're like, we
right,
want someone natural, but they do that.
right,
So it's actually, we can't really blame the women fully, right?
absolutely. But to bring the topic back on track, this is not an issue of blame, by the way, Iman. This is not blameworthy.
Yeah,
This is your nature. This is our nature
yeah,
as men, and that's your nature as women. This is not a blame issue right now. Okay.
yeah.
Now, bearing that in mind that a woman likes to feel beautiful and acknowledged by her partner, her husband, if we're Muslims, and if you're not Muslim, by your whoever it is, that she's beautiful. She wants to be validated in that way. And a man, in the way he receives validation is by being able to protect and provide for his, people that he's looking after. That's how he feels masculine. Okay, now bearing that in mind, when do those two things respectively peak, generally speaking? When does the beauty of a woman peak in Europe, in your view?
In my view, I'll be honest with you, when it comes to me and the few friends of mine, in
Not
terms of
not
looks
you,
wise, we
not
actually have,
you, not you. In
yeah,
general,
women
in
in
general.
generally. I personally, I think all women are beautiful, but from what I've personally seen is,
Iman,
the
that's a lie.
yeah.
No, some men are ugly, some women are ugly. Let's just call it out for what it
No,
is.
look, listen, God's made everyone, okay? I have to be still there. I'm not going to go around calling someone ugly, okay? Yes, some women are more beautiful than others,
Mm.
but from what I've seen, it's a mix, okay? But there are women in their 30s that look like they're women in their 20s, you know?
Okay, but
So
that same
I
woman
think,
who's in her 30s, she looks really good in her 30s. I agree with you, they exist. Some women in their 50s look amazing. But take that same woman
my mom looks amazing. Yeah, my mom's in her 50s, yeah.
right. But that same woman, did she look better at 50 or at 20?
It depends. She might not have changed like me.
In general, would a woman look better at 50 or at 20? Generally speaking,
At 50 or what, sorry?
would she look better, more beautiful at 50 or at 20?
Honestly, here again, I don't know what women you've seen, but honestly, God's my witness here. The women that I've seen that in their 50s, they look really good. They
That's
look
not what
like,
I'm asking, Iman. What I'm asking is, do they
I'd
look
say
better at
50-50.
their age at 50 or at 20?
I'd say 50-50, Mehdi. Honestly, I'll say 50-50 because I've seen some who don't look that good in their 20s, but who peak afterwards.
So you think 50% of women look better at 50 than they do at 20?
Yeah, look, TikTok. You can see TikTok for proof. You're like, what? She's 50.
But hold on, Iman, it's very important to be clear here. Do you believe 50% of women look better at 50 than they do at 20? Honestly, come on.
From what I've seen, I don't know what the stats are or what,
It's not
but
stats. It's just
I would
it's a
say
visual
50-50
thing,
according to
right?
what I. But yeah, but not all. Like obviously, yeah, it'd probably be like not even 20s. Forget 20s. I'd say they're 30s. I think 30s for me, from what I've seen, is it's like kind of in between. And
Okay.
I've seen women who are, yeah.
All right. Well, in general, a woman peaks in her beauty around 23, 24, 21, 22, 23, 24. Generally speaking, all right, we're not going to talk about the exceptions because they don't concern us. That's when she's at her peak. So what does the market of men value in women? Well, if you're a Muslim man, hopefully you value her deen first. But if we're going to talk about men generally are visual creatures. So
That's
if
true.
it
We
stands
like what we hear. You guys like what you see. Yeah.
precisely, so it stands to reason. If a woman is most beautiful in her early 20s, then her sexual market value is at its peak in her early 20s. Now, just because she leaves her peak after 20s doesn't mean now she doesn't have a sexual market value. She could be a 10 out of 10 at 22, and at 32, she's an 8 out of 10. For example, it doesn't mean she has no value. Let me make that clear. But if we want to talk in terms of when does that particular currency peak, it's early 20s. Now, let's flip it for men. Women look for, as you mentioned yourself, deeper things in men. And one of those things which are very important is security. And it's important to us as well because we feel masculine when we are providing, protecting, taking care of our women. I speak in general. I'm not talking for those deadbeat exceptions. In general, this is how a man feels masculine. Bearing that in mind, when does that element, that currency of a man come into its peak, in your opinion? When does he start to have money?
Honestly, from the guys that I've seen, from the ones I known in uni, the ones I've worked in, the ones I've worked with, it's been off. I can't obviously generalize, but the ones that I've seen, it's been kind of like 25 years plus, where they start
Yeah.
having a realization in their life where they're like, oh gosh, I've done nothing in my life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But obviously,
absolutely.
it could be different.
No, I mean, you're right. Generally speaking, even at 25, most men are still broke. A man doesn't really start to, generally, the general population doesn't really start to accumulate you could say, a respectable sum of wealth until he hits around late 30s, early 40s. Wealth takes time to build. It takes time to build. And if in also his mental maturity does not kick in until around 40. It doesn't peak until around 40. It is the reason why no prophet, with the exception of Isa alayhi salam, who was born a prophet, was given prophethood before the age of 40. None of them received prophethood before the age of 40. Why? Because that's the age of a man's mental maturity as well. So we have a disparity between us. Women peak sooner than men. Men peak a lot later. So a 20-year-old man has in the general population has a much lower sexual market value than a 20-year-old woman. Are you with me?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Mehdi. I was just reading a comment because they were like, she's too kind and argue back. Guys, if Mehdi says something wrong, of course I'll argue back with him. When he says something wrong, I am a type to, I don't take BS, okay? And I'm sure Mehdi's the same.
There's no
Yeah, I'm
need
so
for us to
sorry about
argue.
that.
I understand, guys. Look, arguing is entertaining. I get it.
The thing is, I'm very patient, guys, because I've come across so many people in life. You guys, I'm going to be 30. Well, I'm 32 now, okay? So I have a lot more. I've met so many people in life. When I was your age, I used to be like, I want to batter someone. Now I'm like, I want to see the psychology of someone, why they're controversial, why are they the way they are. And that's why I came here to kind of see. And
So
the first thing I wanted to make
have I clarified the issue of sexual market value? Does that now make sense to you?
yeah, so that's in your opinion, because meaning the proposals that I've had.
It's not Iman, it's not my
Yeah.
opinion. It's biology. For women it's biology and for men it's time. It's not my opinion, it's just a fact of life. Women in general, I'm not talking about you. You believe you're an exception, so be it. Women in general come into their peak of beauty around early 20s. Men value that very highly. That's why it's called sexual market value. What does the market value? What does the market of men value? Equally, what does the market of women value? We value different things. And that brings me on to another point, which is I made another statement, and that is men don't care about a woman's career success. We don't. And again, I'm speaking in generalizations. But would you like to know why that is?
Mehdi, sorry, repeat that. The comments. I should just put a tape there. Hang on.
Ignore the comments, Iman. I was saying, stay with me.
Yeah.
Men don't care too much about a woman's career success in general, generally speaking. Why do you think that is in your view?
Oh, Mehdi, I would disagree there, because the guys that I know, my friends' proposals and all these they really value, they highly value that. So obviously you met different people, but they want a woman to be a professional as well. They want her to have stability, and a lot of the girls that I know who have not been to university are having issues getting married because the guy wants her to be educated,
I didn't
to
say
uni
hold
level
on.
and
I
stuff.
didn't say he doesn't want her to be educated. I didn't say that. All right. All of my family are educated, the females. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he doesn't value it anywhere near as highly as as a woman would. Why? Why do you think that is? Why do men not care?
Uh, So if that's a man like you, probably because he'd rather take care of the woman, so he's like, it's not going to make a difference to him because he wants her to bring up the children, maybe.
I'm not an exception to the rule. Most men, the way they feel masculine is by providing. If they don't provide, they don't feel masculine. And again, I can see straight away in your eyes, they're flickering. You're thinking about your ex-husband and so on. They are the exceptions. They're not the rule. A man is in his masculine state when he's providing. That's why he doesn't care so much about a woman's career success, because as far as he's concerned, he wants to be able to provide for her in the first place. Are you with me? Now, women equally, as they progress through their careers and climb the career ladder and become more successful in their careers, their pool of men to choose from diminishes, decreases. Did you know this? This is statistically proven. And anyone who wants the stats, DM me afterwards, I'll send them to you. As a woman becomes more successful, wealthier, higher position in a company, her pool of men to choose from to mate with gets smaller. Did you know this?
No, why is that according to your research?
Because for the reason that I mentioned to you, a man feels in his masculine state when he is providing for his woman. If you have a very successful woman, the only way a man is going to be able to feel masculine with her is if he is more successful than her. And that
Oh,
pool of men is tiny. So if you've got a really successful woman, she's got to look up, and whatever's there is there. Those are the men who would feel in their masculine state pairing with her.
but Mehdi, don't you think that's a problem as well? I understand what you're coming from. That's what a man wants to feel, but that's unfair, isn't it? That's unfair on a woman.
Tell me
Just
why
so,
you
just
think that.
say, for example,
Tell me why you
so
think
just
that.
say a woman, right? She's single for that long just because she came across different jerks and whatever, right? So she's like, I'm going to focus on my career. I'm going to focus on being
Iman, you did
independent.
it again. You did it again. You said
No,
jerks.
I said if. I said if. I said if.
Okay.
I said if. Just say she came across jerks, and then she's like, oh, like me, going to be Mother Teresa. I'm going to work a job or two jobs, and I'm going to focus on my career.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was doing at a point, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
was just so fed up. It mentally stressed me so much. Then I said I can't handle this. So, but that's not her fault, is it? So shouldn't we
Mm-hmm.
actually be encouraging guys to actually consider women that are like that? Because it
So
doesn't
hold
mean that
on.
she's
So
successful, she's going to be arrogant. She needs someone too, right?
Iman, but listen, you can't change how we're hardwired. That's like me saying to you, stop valuing your beauty. Why do you care if you're beautiful? I can't change that in you. That's how you're hardwired.
Yeah, but shouldn't we be using this platform to try and give people hope? It's already bad
Hope
enough
of
for
what?
single
Me
mothers as
telling
well. Do
women
you know
that
what
they
I
shouldn't
mean?
value their beauty? Should I tell women? Women, doesn't matter if you're beautiful or not. Who cares? Makes no difference. You can't change that. This is who we are. We're hardwired that way. We're talking since the beginning of time. Men have generally speaking been, they go hunt and gather and they take care of their family. They go out with their spears and whatever else. And women, they
Yeah,
have
that's
their own role.
fine.
But
That's
to
fine.
say to
That's
not
fine.
care
I mean,
about that is like trying to change however long we've been here, millennia, however many
No.
millennia of
So what
hardwiring.
I mean is, that's fine. A guy, if anything, it doesn't matter what background the woman, whether she's Muslim or not, she would like it if a guy was providing for her, right? And if she could just relax. I'm just giving an example. But I'm talking about the young guys that follow you, right?
Right.
From what I've seen, when they're young, they're more flexible in their thinking. When they're older, they're more set in their ways.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, no, we don't want to
Men
change,
and women alike,
right?
both of us. We're both like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, shouldn't I see this? And I do have friends who are still single. They're professionals, lovely women, lovely down to earth women on the deen.
Yeah.
But yeah, like some guys will reject them because of the level you're talking about. I think that's so unfair because I don't want them to be single. I'm like, they're so amazing. They've got
Tell
so
me
much
why
potential.
you think that's unfair. Explain that to me. What makes you say it's unfair?
I think that's unfair because she's not single because she wants to be single. Of course, if she found the right one when she was younger, she'd go for it. Does that make sense? There's so many factors that you need to think of, like I've thought of. Maybe she came across people as well who didn't want her to wear the hijab, you know, or who were wolves in sheep's clothing. So that, in obviously not even in my opinion, in anyone's experience, that's unfair. She's waiting for that guy, you know.
But Iman, what you have to
if
understand
everyone's set in their ways, who's going to marry her?
So Iman, I mean, you're raising a valid point, and this is why it's important we have this discussion. You're right. We need to have this discussion. Women need to be aware of the realities of our biology, of how we think, of how we're hardwired. If a man feels masculine, let me say that again. If a man feels masculine by providing, it stands to reason the opposite is true, which is a man feels emasculated when his provision is not needed. And when a man pairs up with a woman who is significantly more successful than he is, he knows full well his provision is not needed. By default, he feels emasculated. Just as a woman, if her beauty was not acknowledged and validated and ignored, she wouldn't feel feminine. She wouldn't feel like a woman. To change the man is like for me to say, women, stop valuing your beauty. Who cares?
Mahdi, how about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Yeah, Khadija radiallahu anha, she was 15 years older than him. She was a successful, wealthy businesswoman. She rejected so many people, right?
Very good.
And when she came to know him, and when she tested him, because other people were like not loyal, right? Not trustworthy. So with him at that time, he wasn't wealthy, was he? I mean, he just started doing business with her. What about that example? Why don't we promote that?
Okay, excellent question. I'm glad you brought that up. In your view, in your opinion, between the Prophet ﷺ and Khadija radiallahu anha, who was the prize in that marriage? Even as he married her, who was the prize? Her or him?
What do you mean? I think they were both amazing in their own way.
Be careful. You cannot compare Khadija.
You mean like
like
the Prophet? Meaning he was a prophet, of course. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Chosen by Allah.
The most beloved. He's the number one out of all of mankind.
No, of course I know that. But what I mean is, like, you know, they were special, right?
So let me
both
continue.
of them were special.
Let me continue. So we can safely establish, and I'm glad you brought this example up, that in this marriage, the Prophet ﷺ was the prize, no doubt. He's the messenger of Allah. Khadija radiallahu anha, even with all her wealth, she's not the prize. Radiallahu anha. He's the prize. So that is still hypergamy. She has still married across and up the dominance hierarchies because this is the messenger of Allah, the best of mankind. Yes, now he didn't qualify that with his wealth. I accept that. He didn't get that with his wealth, but he got that with.
But we're supposed to follow the example, right?
Pardon?
Yes, he was a messenger. So he was a messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But his sunnah is there for us to follow.
The. Let's give him his right. Not the.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, but his sunnah is left behind. So we believe in the Quran and the Hadith. His sunnah is left behind for us to follow, right? To take as an example. He didn't say you can't be like me because you're not a prophet. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, no one can be a prophet. But
okay, fine.
Character...
Okay, so are you correct me if I'm wrong? It sounds like you're saying because the Prophet ﷺ, as a 25-year-old man, married Khadija radiallahu anha as a 40-year-old woman, all men should do this.
No, I'm not saying all men should do it. That's up to them, right?
Right.
But men do it. And Mehdi, another thing I've noticed.
No, Iman.
Mehdi, another thing.
No.
Another thing I've noticed is, I don't know why this is, but can someone give me an answer to this? I've noticed in my life, yes, there are few Muslim men who would do this, but non-Muslim men, Why is this? Like Spanish men,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I've seen this in Spanish men, a lot of Spanish men, okay, you know the example of PK and Shakira, right? She's
I
like,
don't
what,
know.
10, 11 years older than him?
I don't know, but okay.
So, you know, the footballer. So what I'm saying is like, it's very common in the West.
It's
I've seen it with J-Lo and all
when
these,
you say very common,
the age gap.
when you say very common, does that mean that the majority of people do it?
From in the media, so I
So
could like make a
we're
whole list of people.
right in the media, but you know we see Muslims as terrorists in the media all the time. Does that mean you're a terrorist because you wear a
Yeah,
niqab?
no, of course not. But certain things. What I'm saying is,
Right.
even my friend, you know, my Spanish, you know, my friend that I knew, he, you know, he would marry someone 10 years older than him, a boy from university from Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
He would.
I'm sure,
So, you know,
Iman. There
so
will
what I'm
always be
saying
people.
is,
Iman, there will always be exceptions to the rule. Always.
so what I'm saying, Mehdi, what I'm saying is, as a Muslim woman, we're not allowed to marry a non-Muslim man, right?
Right.
Unless he obviously reverts for the right reasons.
Right.
So there was a point in my life where I was really disheartened by Muslim men, and I said, oh my gosh, you know, what is this test? That non-Muslim, I'm being honest here, guys, that non-Muslim had the character of a Muslim. I said, wow, he would make the perfect Muslim, but why are my Muslim brothers not like that? Why do my Muslim brothers, from what I've seen, disrespect women? Not all of them, from the case, whether 50-50 or 70-30, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these ones have such beautiful manners. So that was another thing that upset me. So shouldn't we be making our Muslim sisters' life easier and be like, look at us, look at our men, they will accept you. Why should it only be non-Muslim men who are going to accept our Muslim women?
So, look, Iman. Again, we're looking at exceptions. We're placing too much attention at exceptions. I'm sure there are men 20-year-old men who are happy to marry 40-year-old women, 30-year-old men happy to marry 70-year-old women. I'm sure they exist. Generally speaking, however, a man, he wants to have children. Generally, okay, he's not going to have kids with a 50-year-old woman. It's just not going to happen, right? And
With
that's
a what? Sorry.
a 30-year-old man is not going to have kids with a 60-year-old woman. I can't remember if I said 50 just now. 50 is also
Yeah,
unlikely.
unless she can obviously,
Look,
unless she's fertile,
we're going back to
exceptions, yeah.
sexual market value. A woman, when she's 30, she's 5 years out from entering high-risk pregnancies. After 35, you enter high-risk pregnancies. Those pregnancies are high risk now. What does that mean? The time span is short, and this is why I referred back to sexual market value. When does it peak for a woman? It peaks at a different time. And these are hard truths for women to get their heads around, but they're truths nonetheless. Because if a man
Are
wants
you
to
saying, when you say high risk, do you mean complications in pregnancy?
a pregnancy is considered high risk after the age of 35 for a woman. Period.
Okay, so, but Mehdi, from what I've seen in life, it's not just been over 35. Young girls, you know, teenagers, young adults, they've had complications in their pregnancy.
But
So
Iman, you're
I don't
doing
know
it
whether
again.
that's our
I
diet.
agree with you. Young women do have complications. It's not, this is
I
not a
had, you
fallacy.
know,
I
I
agree
had it
with
when
you.
I was 26.
But
26, and my daughter came out 6 weeks early. You know, I got sepsis, I got blood poisoning,
right.
but there was a lot of trauma involved because obviously they didn't want my child, and I think psychological stress,
But
it acted
Iman,
out physically.
what I'm saying to you is, there will always be exceptions to every rule. But a woman is at her most fertile, late teens, early 20s. Fact. I didn't make this up in my
Mehdi,
head. Generally
yeah,
speaking, Iman. Yes,
Mehdi,
Tafadhal.
how about, yeah, that's fair enough. You know, people usually marry to, you know, reproduce, etc. But what about the women? And there's another thing that I've seen. I don't know whether it's to do with the vaccinations or whatever. But there are a lot of young girls
Mm-hmm.
who can't have children. Okay,
I'm sure there are.
this is something that I've seen
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't in my time when I was young. Do you know what I mean? Like my friends, they were all able
So
to
where
have.
are you going with
So
this? Where are you going
so
with that?
yeah, so my issue here is, shouldn't, you know, so if a guy's always thinking, okay, I can't, she's much older than me, I can't have children. Okay, so if I'm going to give the example of Aisha radiallahu anha, the
Mm-hmm.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wife, she
Allah
was the
Ta'ala.
only one that was a virgin. Amazing woman, right? Amazing woman of knowledge. She didn't have any children.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that another thing that we should give hope? We should still give hope to our Muslim women, right, regardless of their
Okay, I
age.
understand what you're saying. You're saying we should give hope. I respect that. You're saying we should give hope and not basically write them off. I respect and I agree with that, absolutely. And the only wife of the Prophet ﷺ to give him children, as you know, was Khadija radiallahu anha. And again, another exception, she was 40. So she had all of her kids after the age of 40. These are all exceptions to the rule.
Like my
Generally,
mom as well, yeah.
Right. But we have to, if we are to advise people, if I'm to advise a young man, if you're to advise a young lady, you don't want to take an exception and say, oh, my granddad, he smoked for 70 years and he never got sick once from it. So now should I turn around and tell people, guys, smoking is safe?
No, but we should say to them that you should consider that. So do you know what I'm saying, Mehdi? It could be a young girl,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just say a guy says, I want to marry a younger one because she's able to reproduce, she's healthier, her her sexual market value is at its peak, etc. But what if, and
Mm-hmm.
there's another example I've seen, by the way, there was some guy, and this was abroad, and his wife wasn't able to get pregnant for about 11 years. So he decided to get a second wife, and then guess what happened? His second wife,
Mm-hmm.
right, who was younger, she got pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he's happy, okay, she got a baby, but then guess what happened?
Mm-hmm.
His first wife got pregnant as well, and his second wife had a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't able to have babies after that, but his first wife, who was older, gave him what he wanted. Does that make sense?
But what are we doing once again here, Iman? What are we doing once again?
So what? So what I'm saying is, I forgot my point. Let me just get back to my point. Yes. So we shouldn't. I don't think. I honestly, I've seen so many disheartened women that are young and that are older as well because they can't have children and they fear their husband might leave them. That's not their fault. I think we should educate our men and say to them there's a possibility, regardless of age. Forget biology right now because I'm seeing things which like
I agree.
they contradict biology. Do you know what I mean? Right. So we should say go into a marriage with an open mind, knowing that you may have kids with this woman and you might not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's just something with this day and age that we're living in.
Right. Okay.
I don't think that, yes, we love kids and everyone wants kids, but I don't think that should be like a priority. And you'd be like, no, yeah, you marry her because she's young and fertile, because she's going to give you children. She might not. It might be an older woman that's going to give you
I'm
children.
not saying that a man should just marry a woman for that either. You see, now we have to be careful with what I'm being quoted for. What I'm saying is that, again, generally speaking, I'm dealing with the majority here. A man, he wants to have kids, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, or 50. It doesn't really matter. Generally speaking, a man wants to procreate. If, with that being the case, he wants to pair himself up with someone who will give him the greatest possible opportunity to do so. This comes right back down to SMV again, sexual market value. And again, when is that? Early 20s. And okay, what's the end game here? Where am I going with all of this? Am I just trying to put down women left, right, and center, except if you're 22? That's not my end game here, Iman. I think it's important that I explain to you what my end game is.
And you need to make a video on this, Mehdi. You honestly need to make a video on this because I believe that I've seen people, right? People close to me as well, okay? They appear very angry. People are like, I hate that person. But because I know them personally, they have a pure heart. They don't mean bad, but they don't have the best method of portraying it. So I think you really need to work on, if you've got a good message, you need to improve your ways, because right now you're not going to make a difference if, like, just say 90% of the population are hating on you. Like, how you're there, you want to educate people, but you need to improve on your methods, and you need to explain to them, hey guys, I'm not generalizing, I'm not hating on single women, okay? My experiences were this. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you really need to, like,
that completely, and that's the conversation that I was having with my family yesterday, as I said to you at the beginning of this live, and I accept that, okay? And as I mentioned before, I've been wrestling with how has my delivery been. Is this something that I'd be happy to take to Allah? So it's something that I'm going to readdress myself, okay? But what I want, the end game for me is this. I want young men to know their value. Young men specifically, I'm talking to right now. That's my audience. I want young men to know what their value is, because young men of today have been feminized to the nth degree. And women are paying the price for that, because who do women have to pair up with? Men, right? So if young men are growing up to be soft and squidgy on the edges, who pays the price? The women who pair up with them. That's the end game.
What men are growing up to be squidgy?
Okay, well, single mother households. As I mentioned before, it is impossible for a mother to be mum and dad. It's a logical impossibility, any more than it is for a penguin to be an elephant. It's impossible. I can't be a mother to my daughter. I rely on my ex-wife to be a mother to my daughter. And this is my
Okay, so
point. I am not nullifying women's roles. And I am not saying that that we don't need them. I am saying we need you, but you also need us. And the feminist narrative is no, we don't need men. Mom can be mom and dad, and this is not true. And the statistics
okay,
support it.
well, I wouldn't say I'm a feminist. I just speak up for, if I see someone being wronged in the male gender, I'm a very fair person, okay? And if I see someone being wronged in the female gender, I'm going to stick up. I wouldn't label myself as a feminist, but what I say to my parents when my dad, like my dad's abroad right now, okay, when he's not there, I don't have a choice. I am a mother and a father. I have to teach my daughter how to street fight. Things like that. Do you understand? Like I've done my Muay Thai myself. I have to say, look, if you're the dad right now, he'd be like, you need to know how to defend yourself in the world.
Mhm.
All these things. So I look into these things and I research and I see my brother. My brother lives in Birmingham. He comes down, amazing role model for my daughter.
Okay,
He was
good.
there, but right now he's like, obviously she'll probably see him once in a few months. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
But
Iman,
Mehdi,
can
I've
I
also
ask you a
seen
question?
him.
Do you consider
Yeah.
yourself a feminine woman, or are you a masculine woman?
I
You can't be both. You're
I
one or
wouldn't
the
say
other.
masculine. What does it mean? Like, do you mean like in this my dress sense, or like
No,
how
no,
I am, kind
no.
of my
Your demeanor, the archetypal feminine woman. Do you consider yourself a feminine
I'm
woman or a masculine
I'll,
woman?
I'll honestly I'll honestly be, to live in this day and age, to survive, you need to have, of course, as by nature we're feminine because we're women, but due to my circumstances,
Mhm.
I've needed to learn to be streetwise, and in that sense I'd say I'm more like, I have a bit of both.
I accept
and,
that.
and that's just,
I accept that.
yeah.
But let me reverse the question then.
Yeah.
Could your ex-husband be a mother to your daughter?
No, because I mean I've seen it and he neglected her.
Iman, no, full stop. It's
But if I
impossible.
saw my
It's
dad,
impossible
Mehdi,
for
if I
you.
saw my dad,
Mhm.
Mehdi, if I see my dad, I'll be honest with you, my dad's amazing, masculine guy. I can't even explain like how amazing he is.
Mhm.
I've had some back issues due to my C-section. My dad, my dad was helping me, so he was being like a mother. Although he's very masculine, he had to change my daughter's nappies for me, because my
That's
mum has some
great.
health issues as well.
I
So,
can sing songs to my daughter as well, and I can, stroke her hair and all of that. But
but I
can
think
I
some,
replace my daughter's mother? Can I replace my ex-wife?
but Mehdi, you can't say
Can I
you
replace
can't
my
say you can
ex-wife,
fully
Iman?
replace them.
Iman,
Yeah, but
Can Mahdi replace
no, I
his
mean, if she's
ex-wife?
a good woman, then of course you can't. If she's a good woman, of course you can't replace her. But Mehdi, if to say your child didn't have her,
Hmm.
then so I think the reason that a lot of single women are offended is some of them might not even have, some of them might not even have brothers. Their father probably passed away, so they need to. So, and if I was in their
Okay.
position, and I kind of am because my dad's abroad and my brother's in Birmingham, I was like, hang on a second. He's saying you can't be a mother and father. I see where you're coming from because you're saying they should have some type of male role model, but at the same time, a woman, if she doesn't have like a brother or a father, or they live far away, she has to force herself to be a mother and a father. And when you say, you said at the end, you said, women, you're not empowered. That made my blood boil. I'll be honest with you. I wanted to punch you in your face. I was so angry. I'm laughing by it. And I was like, I was like this. I was doing this. My daughter's like, what are you doing? And the reason I said that was because if I say I'm empowered, that's because Alhamdulillah, all praises to Allah, He has given me uh, the chance, the opportunity to gain the reward of bringing my daughter up, meaning gaining the reward of both a mother and a father. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense, sister. Look, what I'll say to you is
No,
this:
listen.
you can, Iman, you can do
Normally,
your best. You can do your best. You can do your best. Now, in your instance, by the way, you have a daughter. And it kind of changes things when you have a daughter, okay? Because you don't need to teach a girl how to be a man. She'll have a different set of voids that need filling. Like the absence of a father is a big deal, but that's a separate conversation for her, specifically for her, right? But
yeah. Just gonna put my phone on charge. Yeah.
you have a daughter. You don't need to teach your daughter how to be a man, okay? But a single mom who has a son or multiple sons, her son does need to know how to be a man, and she will
Okay.
not be able to do that for him anymore. And I keep saying this, anymore, than a father can teach his girl how to be a lady. It's impossible.
I understand. I understand where you're coming from, because women have different traits and men have different traits.
Correct.
But Mehdi, the friends that I have, yeah, 50-50. Some have daughters, some have sons. Okay, the ones that have sons, their sons are not feminine at all. Like, I genuinely thought that they were back with their ex, because I was like, wow, like, who taught him to do this? Or he's so, like, you know.
What do you define as masculine? What do you define as masculine?
Masculine, you know, the masculine traits of a man, because I can't really explain it, but you know, when you say that they're soft-hearted and squidgy, and that they're not, meaning they're soft-hearted.
I can tell straight away when I'm dealing with a man who's been raised by a single mom. I can tell straight away, because how do I say it? I can just tell straight away. It's very feminine.
Is it their soft heart? Maybe is it their soft heart?
They're very soft. Yeah, they're very soft. They don't have that cutting.
Yeah, but
I can tell straight away.
Mehdi,
hold on, let me finish.
Mehdi, I've seen men.
Iman,
yeah,
if you don't mind, let me finish, inshallah. The stats don't lie, Iman. We have to refer back to the stats. Center for Disease Control. 63% of children raised in single mother households are suicidal. This is not a game. And if you consider, hold on, Iman, if you consider how many different types of households exist, you have the nuclear household, you have the single father household, you have the adopted children household. We can go on and on. 63% of them are coming from one single segment. But it gets worse. 71% of them drop out of high school, and 90%, Iman, it's important you pay attention, of all homeless and runaway children came from single mother homes, not single father, not nuclear homes where mum and dad are there, specifically single mother. This is an epidemic.
So guess what, Mehdi? But those are the figures, right? But you just said to me, so these are the figures you've seen online, right?
Pardon?
These are the figures you've seen online.
Well, actually, specifically, I took these from the Center for Disease Control.
Okay, but how reliable do you think that is? Because not all single mothers will register. Like, how can you, meaning there's no stats about my child in the system.
But Iman, respectfully, you don't matter in this discussion. What matters is the general population. Are you with me?
Yeah, but Mehdi, there are loads of other women. But
bring it back to you, Iman. You repeatedly bring it back to my friend and myself and so on. But we're looking at the big picture.
Yeah, because Mehdi, listen. There's so many women like me who are single moms, who are not registered in the system, who have educated children, who have strong children, who know when to be masculine, who know when to be soft-hearted. And when it comes to being soft-hearted, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
But
my dad was raised by a mother and a father. He's soft-hearted when he needs to be.
Your point doesn't support you, Iman. If they're not registered, all that means is the suicidal children from single mother homes that are not registered are not registered. That's all that means.
No, Mehdi, but they're not. Listen, I'm sure they exist, but you can't generalize, because I've seen children, and again, from my life experience, I'm 32 now, I've seen children that are not from broken families, not from single dad, not from single mom, living in the same house as their parents. They are suicidal. Because their parents, domestic abuse and whatever. So we can't even say they can't.
Hold on, Iman. I didn't say that just because you were raised in a nuclear home doesn't mean you can't be suicidal. I didn't. Yeah. Did I say that?
Of course, it can be a trigger. It depends on how they're brought up, right?
I said,
in the single
home. I'll repeat it again. 61 or 63%. Not 100%. 63. What does that mean? The remaining 37% come from all the different homes. So yes, you can be raised in a nuclear home and still be suicidal. And yes, you can be raised in a single mother home and come out perfectly fine. This is not a 100% thing. But what you're repeatedly doing here, Iman, is picking out the exceptions. My friend, this guy, the other one, myself. Therefore, we should ignore the stats. My stepchildren here, they have a granddad who's been smoking for 70 years. When I gave you that example, it was him I was talking about. He's been smoking for 70 years, chain smoker. Most of his life, it was 2 packs a day. Now, mashallah, it's just 1 pack a day. He's still going strong. He's absolutely fine. His eyesight is dimmed a little bit, but he hasn't got any cancer or anything like that. Now, should I go and tell people, guess what, guys? I know someone who smoked for 70 years and they're fine. You should go and smoke because it's not a problem. Should I do that?
Okay, Mehdi, but what?
Iman, so please, kindly answer the question for me. Should I do that?
No, listen to me.
Iman, just
So
answer yes or no. Should I do that? Should I tell people to smoke because my stepkid's granddad didn't die from smoking?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Common sense, right?
Right.
But the thing is, what I'm saying is, this is what the thing that triggered me.
Yeah.
Honestly, the thing that triggered me was
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, gosh, if my daughter could read properly, or or if she saw your videos, first thing she'd say to me is, "Mummy, what's suicide?" And and that would be the case with everyone around the world, and saying, like, this guy is saying that single mum, Mummy, you're a single mum, and that means I'm going to commit suicide. Do you understand? Do you understand the consequence of the severity of what you said?
Okay.
So I differ here, okay, because I've seen cases, I've seen both. I've seen suicidal kids in joint families,
but
okay.
We
But
can't
honestly,
ignore the stats because of what you've seen, Iman. Respectfully.
yeah, that's fine, Mehdi. But shouldn't we? And I keep stressing the word hope again. My heart, yeah. I swear, my heart broke. I don't care if those kids were Muslim or not Muslim. I don't care if those single mums were Muslim or not Muslim. My heart broke for them when you said this, because it makes them. You know what? I swear, I'm not. You know me, a couple of years ago, I probably would have committed suicide seeing that video.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Then the message that I have for those single mums is, again, I'm going to go back to stats, because I can't talk about my mate and this guy and my auntie. I'm going to talk about stats because they weren't performed by me. 70% of all divorces are initiated by women. My message to women is, of you 70% who initiated divorce, you can't all tell me he was a deadbeat dad. No way. And see, the problem here is that a lot of these women who initiate divorces, they don't realize what they're signing themselves and their kids up for once they do it. This is the problem, Iman. These women who think that they can get it better once they leave. Look, in the Muslim community, I see it all the time. A husband and wife break up. This woman has kids. She ends up as a second wife. Really? You went from first wife to second wife, third wife, maybe even. Your situation improved? No, not really. And especially when she's alpha widowed, and let's not even get started on that, which is she's still thinking about her ex. That's a whole another kettle of fish. But again, I'm telling these women, why 70% of you? Why? You can't all tell me he's a deadbeat. Where's your introspection? Where's your looking at yourself? You saw me, I put my hand up. Domestic violence. Yeah? Everyone's been calling me names for that since that day. I held my hand to that. Where are these women's equivalent introspection into themselves? What did you do to cause him to leave? What did you do to cause him to hit you? What did you do that he was so uninterested in you, he wanted to run away? What did you do? Because look, Iman, we can't control other people, but we can control ourselves. Are you with me?
Yeah. So listen, Mehdi, what you said. Yeah. So from what I've seen, there's one of two friends I had in life, and they really basically gave up. Within like 2 months, saying, I don't want to be with him. I can do better. So I understand. There are guys. I'm a woman myself. There are women that like it. There are women that exist like that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say they don't exist, right? But honestly, like, I do single mother fundraising every year, right? Yeah. So all the ones that I know, unfortunately, they have been deadbeat fathers, because I don't help the fake single moms. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know, the ones that say we're single moms, but then have a boyfriend and he's financially helping them. I don't help those ones. I genuinely help the ones who suffer domestic abuse, mental abuse.
You want to talk about domestic abuse? You see, again, domestic abuse. 1 in 5 women have experienced domestic abuse. That's 20%. You know what the stats are for men? 1 in 7. It's nearly 50-50 split. We suffer from domestic abuse almost equally, and nobody knows this. Furthermore, no one even knows what misandry is.
I'm sure you guys do. I'm sure you.
Do you know what misandry is?
No.
Right. This is the problem. We all know what misogyny is, but misandry is a foreign concept. Misandry is. But
I do know that the suicide rates for men are really high. I do know that, and we should acknowledge that.
High. Yeah,
and a lot of men keep it in because they feel that they're going to be judged if they cry or speak about it, right?
Yeah.
But then again, there's a lot of women who suffer domestic abuse, but they're not going to go to the police out of fear of the community, out of fear of the partner.
Well, that's an important point you raised there. Who do you think fears more going to the police? The woman who fears because of the community, or the man because he fears being emasculated? That 1 in 7, That 1 in
Yeah.
7, Iman, does not take into consideration that most men will never own up to the fact that a woman hit me. Like, it just sounds so wrong. So that 1 in 7
Yeah, I
is
understand. It
probably
just
off.
I understand. I
But my
understand your
point
point.
here,
I completely
Iman, is that
understand your
we are
point.
close. When it comes to domestic abuse, women like to pull out this card all the time. We are almost 50-50. It's a 60-40 split. It's a 60-40
Yeah.
split.
Regardless, domestic abuse can't be justified. So I have another question for you, Mehdi.
It cannot be justified. I agree.
Yeah, meaning you came out with it,
Yeah.
okay? I didn't agree with many of your views, but one thing that I was happy about was that you did tell the world, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like, that's a big thing to say, that, you know, you beat your ex-wives up, right? It's a
Wife.
big thing that you came
It
out
was
with.
one incident with my wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wife. Okay, so it's a big thing that you came out with. So I have a question for you,
Yeah.
and I want you to tell everyone, because obviously, you know, you came out with it. I know you said you were humiliated in court and it was so humiliating, you know, the charges being read out, etc. But do you regret that?
Of course. Listen, if a man hits a woman, it's an indication that he's weak. And I'm not just saying this to pander to the audience. No, I really mean it. If you can't exert yourself, exert your aura, your dominance as a man, just through your being, and you have to resort to violence, it means you're a weak man. And you see,
Okay,
notice how I am refraining from saying, "Oh, but she did this to me and she did that to me," because honestly,
yeah, I'm
it
glad you
doesn't
didn't
matter.
justify it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because regardless of how much provocation a man receives, if he breaks and he hits her, he's still weaker than what she was. And this
Yeah,
was a
definitely,
process that
because
I had to own and acknowledge for myself. That I
yeah.
need to
So
understand.
guys, I'm reading all the comments here. You're saying he's a wife beater. Yeah, he did beat his wife. I'm completely anti wife beaters. If I came across someone and I saw him beating his wife up, I'd end up beating him up, and that's allowed in self-defense. I would help his wife. So, but the thing that Mehdi has acknowledged is he's not proud of it. Okay, he did make a video and he's not proud of it. People make mistakes. Yeah, that was a horrid mistake. I mean, that's awful. I'm gonna be downright open with you, Mehdi. That's awful. Like, I wouldn't imagine a man like you doing that, but you came out with it.
Yeah.
So I respect you for coming out with it and not justifying it.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And you need to make another video on that, and you need to say to guys, because they're going to be a lot of youngsters following you, and they're going to think, okay, because Mehdi did it.
No, the
Yeah, we're
video,
going to
I've
do it. Do
made
you know
the
what I
video,
mean?
and the video was I owned it for myself. The video's done. It's there. You can watch it again. But I will say to you
Yeah.
women,
Okay.
I will
probably
say
haven't
to
seen it.
you women who domestically abuse your husbands, and 1 in 7 men are abused by you. You are just as at fault. And by the way, you tend to use much more Machiavellian tactics than men. Men tend to be quite violent physically like this. Women tend to use much more Machiavellian tactics, picking up heavy objects and throwing them at the man and so on.
Yeah.
You women
And Mehdi,
should be absolutely ashamed of yourselves just as much as we should be. So let's not make this all about men.
no,
Iman.
yeah,
It's very
no,
important
guys,
that we make this
domestic,
equal.
like, listen, you know, yeah, domestic abuse, it can't be justified whether it's a woman or a man, but exception where I think it can be justified is if, for example, my ex were to hit me,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm not just going to stand there and take it. It's my God-given right to defend myself, okay?
Okay,
I've got
that's
a
different. That's tit
daughter,
for tat.
she
That's
ends up
tit for
killing
tat.
me.
That's fine. But don't say that on
Yeah,
live. Crying out
that's,
loud.
it's my God, it's myself, you know, it's self-defense, it's our God-given right. You can't just stand there and take it. He's
That's
going to
fine.
do it again.
That's fine.
Okay,
That's
I
fine.
think I used to have a lot more patience before, but now I don't. But another thing is, yeah, guys, someone said it's not a mistake. Yeah, I mean, it's not a mistake. It can't be justified. He's done it. But then again, we need to also see, why is this person so angry? Okay, it can't be justified. But what provoked that person to do
It
that to
doesn't
start
matter.
off with?
It doesn't matter what the provocation was. As I said, I've owned it and that's it. Iman, do you have another
Yeah,
question that you'd like clarification on?
I had so many questions, Mehdi. I think I need to write them down, and if you can go for a live again. So, guys, let's make this clear, okay? I became completely anti Mehdi. I was like, he's gunning down all single women. How dare he? How dare he? Right? He's not doing that. He's not generalizing. I'm a single mother myself. Okay, I explained my situation. That's not what he's saying at all. What he's saying is that a lot of them run to divorce men, and so of course, if you're suffering from domestic abuse, the child suffering from abandonment, he's neglecting you guys. He's not giving you your rights. things like that, then of course, if you've given him chances, you have a right to leave him, and I'm with you on that. Okay, like no one deserves to be mentally abused or physically abused. So yes, there are a lot of cases, but can't we do some type of do you know if we can do that on TikTok, Mehdi? You know, when you said, I'm sure not all of them are deadbeat fathers, you know, like you have a kind of poll system where you do votes, and so single mothers can contribute and write their reason, they're like options, and what was the reason that they left their guy, kind of thing, and then we can see stats there
I
as
don't
well.
think that's beneficial, because what I've noticed amongst single mums in general, and again, when I talk about single mums, don't take it personally, I'm talking in general, okay? Victim mums tend to prescribe to a victim mindset. They're always the victim. It's a common trend among single mums. And again, I'm speaking generally. Single mums tend to feel like they've been hard done by. They've done no wrong, and their husband was a deadbeat or their boyfriend was a deadbeat, and it's all on him. And you speak to single mums, and it's the same narrative over and over and over. It's sickening. It's absolutely sickening. And I say to everyone, men and women alike, men and women alike,
that
hold
might be in
yourself
your
to
case.
account. Hold yourself
But
to
if
account.
she's so obviously, you know, you have to be responsible. If you've been at fault, you should say that I'm a single mom, and like you keep saying, Iman, you keep talking about yourself, but I have to. The single moms that I know, they've taken responsibility anywhere they're wrong. Some of them do say deadbeat father, but then again, the ones that I know, it's genuinely been their guy not wanting their child. Okay. So I've had to suffer that. They've had to suffer that as well. And like, what more can you do? Like, you're forced to be a single mom. Like, what can you do?
Yeah.
If you're living with him and he doesn't want to have anything to do with his own blood child, you gotta
Your
leave him. What's he gonna
your
do?
example is an exception. Your
What was that, sorry?
example is an exception. You are an exception. But I would suggest that the majority of single moms need to take far more self-accountability. Take stock of yourself. Because if you don't, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get married again, and then you're going to get divorced again, and then you're going to get married again, and on it goes. And each time, it's his fault. It's he done this, and he done that, and he done the other. And on that note, I would highly recommend that you ladies read this book. It's written by a woman for women. It's called The Empowered Wife by Laura Doyle. I don't make any money from recommending this book. I've read this book, and it's been very eye-opening for me. Haven't finished it. Very, very beneficial book. It's about taking self-accountability and asking yourself, what did I do to contribute to this? What did I do? Because I've had to go through that process myself, and I can tell you it's painful, but it's beneficial. So on that note, Iman,
on TikTok, I have seen a couple of women who admit that they were like, we were the toxic ones, and I really respect them for admitting that. Okay, because if you can't change yourself, if you are toxic and you can't change yourself, it's going to happen again. It's a reality. And even myself, I have to be careful as a single mom that when I move on, I don't. It's hard mentally. It's hard, but I shouldn't talk to the next guy.
Absolutely.
You know, because of what the first one put me through, and that's something that we all need to like.
That's a very important point you raised there, by the way, because we all carry baggage.
It's really hard, guys.
We all carry baggage with us, and that emotional baggage can harm our ability to connect with the next person.
Yeah, because you can end up losing like someone so precious. Like, he could be like near to perfection, and just because mentally we're like, oh no, we're so afraid that he's going to do the same thing, just that fear you might end up losing him again.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's something that we need to work on as single moms. But with single moms, you know, another thing, Mehdi, I was going to say, it's hard for us to move on as well, especially when we have kids. In the sense where, you know, if someone has beat their ex up before, or they're known for domestic, you know, these are the things that we are going to worry. Not really for ourselves. We can handle ourselves. We've got a child to think of. Does that make sense? So they're not going to intentionally want to be single mothers. It's because we've got so much to think about. We've got issues of paedophilia. What if he's a paedophile?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
I've got a daughter. Gosh, he'd become her mahram.
By the way, when a man goes into a relationship with a single mom, this is something he has to consider. I personally know someone. We want to talk about personal examples. I personally know someone who fathered a stepdaughter, and she accused him of abusing her once she reached a certain age. Now, he was later acquitted and left innocent. But my point is, it happened. And this is another put off for men going into a relationship with a single mom. And it's something they seriously need to consider. So I'm saying this. I'm not saying I'm not saying to throw all single moms to the side of the road, but I'm telling men, understand what you're signing yourself up for, because the realities are severe, and usually you don't understand what they are until you're in it. That's all I'm saying.
But at the same time, Mehdi, we need to give, we need to give hope to single moms that they can move on. We can't just be like, your sexual value has decreased and etc. etc. Or no one's going to marry you because of this. We still,
I didn't say
you know,
that, Iman. I didn't say that. I didn't say
no,
no one's
I'm
gonna
not
marry
saying
you.
that. I'm not saying you said that, but what I'm saying is from your videos, because that's what they're feeling right now. Right now they feel worthless. They're like, look what Mehdi said. He's teaching the young guys, any guy, young or old, he's teaching them this. He's promoting his ideas. We got no hope to move on because these guys are following you. Do you understand?
And
Like,
I will say to the
you're
single moms equally though, you guys, you single moms are the ones who initiate divorce and breakups more than them. So again, to you single moms who initiate these breakups, you need to hold yourselves to account, because we're not going to stand for it. We're not going to sign ourselves up to pair up with a single mom, potentially have kids with her, just for her to then pull the divorce trigger on us. We're not going to stand for it. We're not
she
going to stand
is
for it.
just
So
wait, someone said,
I say to you single moms, fix up, because you are causing
guys,
most of the divorces, 70% divorce rate.
okay, I'm just trying to see where he's coming from. If he's talking sense, I'm going to agree with that. If he isn't, obviously I'm not. Okay,
Iman, Iman,
but
let's wrap this up, inshallah. Let's wrap this up.
yeah.
Jazakallah khair.
So
Thank you
guys,
for.
another thing is, Mehdi, each time you speak about single mothers and you say they initiate the divorce, when you say that, because obviously new people are joining, you make it clear. You make it clear that you're talking about the ones that didn't really need to leave. Okay, because ones like me are going to be offended. They're going to be like, hang on a second, I had to initiate the divorce because he was deadbeat. He did not want my child. He did neglect us, right? Or he beat us up. Do you understand what
Do
I'm
you know
saying?
any single
Each
woman
time,
who doesn't say that though? Is there any woman that you've ever met who doesn't say that he was a deadbeat and they say, "No, I was the one who was wrong"? Have you ever met a woman who said that?
personally, I've seen it on TikTok. In real life, I haven't seen any that have said that
They're
we
very
were
few and
wrong.
far between,
But
Iman. But there's no but,
yeah,
Iman, by
but
the way,
that
because
doesn't
look,
mean that they don't exist. Of course, they exist. I just don't
yeah,
know
but
them,
they're a
right?
tiny minority, and we need that. If you single moms want us to start considering you again, that percentage, that tiny minuscule percentage, needs to increase dramatically. Because if it doesn't, we're not having it. We're not standing for it. Because why? It's gonna end in turmoil. We don't want it. That's my message to these single moms.
Yeah, but a lot of the times, Mehdi, a lot of the times these single moms need to leave because it is affecting the child. You know, you saw my child was in and out of hospital, right? She was near to death,
Mm.
okay? And you think that, the people are like, oh, stay together just because for the sake of the child. But it's like, no, if it's worse for the child to see that drama
I agree.
every day,
I agree. Yeah,
every night, that you're going to be
I,
worse off. So,
I agree with that.
alhamdulillah,
I
as
agree
a
with that.
single mom, my mental health has improved.
Alhamdulillah.
And do you understand? Yes, you feel this loneliness and you feel, but I'm not just gonna accept. I'm not gonna settle. I'm not gonna settle for the next man that proposes to me just because I'm a single mom. I'm not a desperate single mom. Do you understand what I'm saying?
What do
Just
you
because
tell me?
I
What you
say
mean by settle? Unpack that for me. What do you mean by settle?
settle. Some are like, oh, you're not gonna get anyone better than me. Just kind of go for me. No, guys, and I'm talking to single moms here. Don't let that fool you, because a lot of them, there will be some men out there who will want to manipulate you and who will want to be with you for the wrong reasons. So don't let him make you feel that, I can't explain it, that you don't know your worth. So some will say, oh, you're not going to get anyone better than me. That's not true.
Mm.
I had so many say that to me, and I had about 10 proposals after they said that to me. So don't settle it. Don't think that you can't do better and, oh, no one's going to marry you or no one's going to be in a relation with you just because you've got a child.
Yeah.
No, you have to
No,
be
no, I'm not
confident in
saying that.
yourself. You know your worth. You know your worth, okay? And when you've got children, especially, you think about that child as a priority and say, don't think just about yourself, that does he tick the boxes for me? Not just about yourself. Does he tick the boxes for my child? Does he get on with my child?
Man, that's another. You're raising another important point. Who's the priority? The child, right?
My child is my priority. I
Right.
don't have a checklist
What
anymore.
does that
Like,
mean?
mine is secondary.
What does that mean by default then? That your husband, the husband coming into the picture is priority number 2. It's a bad deal. It's a bad
No,
deal.
you don't understand what I'm. No,
Now
you
look,
don't
in your
understand what I'm
case,
saying.
Iman, in your case, I will say to you this: You have an exceptional circumstance. Your husband's fled the country, and so on and so forth. But I will say to single moms, you want to set yourself up with the best possible opportunity to get the best possible man for yourself. You need to seriously consider giving your child back to the dad. And don't all come on here telling me, oh, he's a
Giving them
lesbian.
what? Sorry.
Giving the child back to her father, his or her father. You understand the best?
Oh yeah,
because do you know
this
why?
is conditional as well, Mehdi. This is conditional as well. Of course, you have to make sure that even if he's a father, right? Domestic abuse. If he basically beat, you got to be careful. So with domestic abuse, you got to be careful. There are supervision centers as well, where meetings can be supervised, right, Mehdi?
What's that got
If
to
you
do
think
with
that
what
he's
I'm
going
saying? Sorry, I'm not following. What does that got to do with
you
what I'm saying?
said you should let them be a part of their father's life. Is that what you said?
I said what I'm saying is this: if a woman wants to seriously, a single mom wants to seriously increase her chances of finding the best possible man for herself, she needs to have a serious think about sending her child or children back to their dad. Because why? I'll tell you why. Because the new man coming in knows, because you just said it here on TikTok, he's not going to be top priority. Your kid will be top priority. And if there's two, then that's two kids who are top priority. And if there's three, then there's three kids
No,
who are in the pecking order
You
before
took
him.
Mehdi. You took me wrong there.
Okay.
When I said priority, okay, for me personally, right? Okay, if I was to move on, and I said it's not about me, it's about my child. Meaning, does he fit the boxes? He's not a paedophile. He's not going to abuse my child. Things like that. Can he fill that void in my child's heart? You know, I would give them. You know, you basically supervise these things. How does he get on? But if he was an amazing guy, for example, I would, does that make sense? I would give him as much respect as I would have given my ex-husband. Do you understand what I'm saying?
He's still not a priority.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that, because I was getting to know someone, and I was getting to know someone, and he thought he wouldn't be a priority, and he was actually surprised, and he said, I thought because you had an ex, I wouldn't kind of be a priority. It didn't work out for other reasons,
Iman, you said it just a few minutes ago. You said, yes, my child will always be my top priority, and that's how it should be. Yeah, you're not at fault for prioritizing your child first, but just understand this: as the new man coming in, that child is not his. If the child was his, he'd be happy that you make the child top priority, because it's his child as well. He shares that need for it to be top priority. But when the child is not his, it's kind of a sore deal. He's coming in and he knows straight away he's not top priority. He's second, third, fourth, fifth, however many kids are in the picture. Like, where does he figure in that? It's a sore deal.
Yeah, but the thing is, Mehdi, what was I going to say? But by you saying this, who is going to marry a single mother by you saying this?
Okay,
do you understand?
Okay, you're right. So let's circle it back around to what I'm saying in the beginning. I want married couples to make their marriages work, for crying out loud. For goodness sake.
If they can work, sister, of course.
Sister, there will always be exceptions to the rule, and you are clear, based upon what you have told us, it is quite clear that you are one of those exceptions to the rule, based upon the story you told us at the beginning.
But that's me.
Hold on, Iman, 1 second.
You know that I'm an exception. Mehdi, you know I'm an exception because I'm talking to you.
1 second.
There could be so many exceptions out there.
No, the word exception by itself means there are few. Except. They're few and far between.
Yeah,
but if I advise a man, Iman, I'm not gonna say to him, oh, by the way, there's a 1% chance you're gonna win the lottery. No, I'm gonna say to him, there's a 99% chance you're gonna lose the lottery. I have to be fair. And I'll say to him, look, bro, there are unicorns. They exist. Iman, I told you, I married a widow. Okay? What does that tell you? That the advice I'm giving, there are clearly exceptions to the rule. Clearly. Because I
was going to say to you, I was going to give the example of Khadija radiallahu anha being a widow, because I was going to say, how about that, Mehdi? But you told me before that, you told me yourself that you married a widow.
Correct.
Alhamdulillah.
So I'm saying, so Iman, let me finish my point. My point here is, yes, there are exceptions to the rule. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule. Every rule that you can think of, there's an exception to. But when we give advice, we say, this is what your probabilities of your chances are. And when it comes to single moms, the probabilities are stacked against you as a man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but Mehdi, what does that mean then? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like me, there will be other exceptions. There will be other exceptions like me. So where's their hope? Because of what you're saying, they're going to be like, well, no one's going to marry us because of what Mehdi's saying.
Look, first of all, who's Mahdi? Like, seriously, Mahdi's no one. Yeah, I got hardly any influence in this world. That's the first thing. But Iman, I've been accused of domestic abuse. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm a domestic abuser, present continuous. But I have been accused of domestic abuse. That is on my forehead now. Now, any average woman would turn around to her mate and say, "Stay far away from that man. He's a domestic abuser." I'm not going to sit here crying about it. I did do it. And the truth is, you should stay away from most domestic abusers. It is what it is. You understand? And that's the advice a woman would give to her mate. And I am giving similar advice to the men out there. The odds are stacked against you when it comes to marrying single moms.
Mahdi, you know the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I know he was an exception because he was the messenger of Allah.
Mhm.
You know, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, he did not marry. When he remarried, okay, during his first wife,
Mhm.
He didn't marry anyone else, right? Whilst the time he was married to her,
Yeah,
but afterwards
correct.
he did marry widows, and he married for noble. He remarried for noble reasons, right? To help these women out, okay, with good intentions, or to build relations, you know, to strengthen the ummah and stuff. So what I'm saying is, why can't our men these days like that? Oh.
Why can't they what?
So
Sorry?
on one hand, why can't they think like that as well? So, but you're saying I'm just Mahdi, I'm no influencer. But Mahdi, come on, you have like 60, I don't know, 62,000 plus followers. Of course, in this day and age, you're going to be an influencer. There are going to be people that are going to be following you. I've seen it in the. Come on, there's some guys that were calling us as single mothers bitches, right?
Yeah.
He was like, those biatches are getting triggered.
That nonsense has to stop. Like, all of this hate talk, all of it has to. You'll notice I don't respond to hate.
Yeah, they start going extreme.
But yeah,
like,
but Iman, I have to speak the truth even if it's against myself. All right?
Yeah, but you need to still say to the brothers.
Iman, Shofi, even me, I have been accused of domestic violence. With that being the case, women should be on red alert. This man has been accused of domestic violence. There's a possibility he could do it again. This is a reality, right? If you've done it once, it could happen again. I have to live with that. As you can see, I'm perfectly comfortable with it, but it's still my reality. And this is why I am propagating this message, not to bash single mums who are single now, but to encourage young couples. Please choose wisely and make your marriages work. Make them work somehow. Obviously, there will be exceptions where you cannot make them work. I get it. You guys, I get it. I'm with you. But the majority of you watching this now, you could have made your marriage work. Majority of you watching this could have, and you chose not to. And who pays the price? The children. That's my message. That's it. And this
guys, I do believe that if the father, if he's good with the children, I do believe that you shouldn't hold grudges, and you shouldn't. It's hard if you hate your ex. It's hard, but don't let the child suffer just because of you and your ex having issues. If your ex is good with your child, let them be, because maybe your next partner is not going to be as good, right? So, but at the same time, Mehdi, you're saying I'm an exception, okay?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You said that.
No, yeah, meaning you were quoting me. So the guys on your page, okay, like the ones that are off the rails are like anti. It's becoming like an anti-single Muslim, or not single.
I don't
Muslim,
even read the comments. I rarely read comments, so I don't know.
It's basically causing indirect hate towards single mums. That's what we all have an issue with. Okay. There are going to be exceptions. There are going to be exceptions of single mums who are going to be fair, who are not going to treat the next man.
Yeah.
According to who are not going to let him suffer because of what they went through. We need hope, and you as a Muslim man, you're representative in the Muslim community. We need you to if you're going to warn brothers, at the same time say, brother, we want you to at the same time say, brother, it could be a chance that you do marry someone single. She wasn't a single mum, and it may not work out. You probably were better off with a single mum. Do you understand? Because everyone is different. It doesn't. Who cares about the stats? You don't know everyone individually.
I agree. In principle, I agree with you. In principle, I agree. The problem is, it's like me saying my 70-year-old granddad smoked smoked for 60 years and he's fine. It's the same thing. I can't do that. I have to tell them the
Throughout
truth.
Islamic history, Mehdi, I came across a website and had a whole list of. I'm going to make a video on it actually. It had a list of single mums. Okay, throughout history, and I think I'm not sure if it was Imam Abu Hanifa. I might be wrong here, but a lot of the basically amazing Islamic figures, they were raised by single women.
Okay, this is a very
Yeah.
good point. Can I respond to it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, Imam Bukhari, Imam Ahmed, were raised by single mothers. Okay, very good. They were all scholars, right? They were all scholars?
Yeah.
Right, they were all scholars. And in order to become a scholar, you have to learn from another scholar or another group of scholars. Was that correct? Yeah?
Yeah.
You have to spend a lot of time with those scholars as well. A lot of time. One question. What gender were those scholars?
Male.
Male. So they tick the criteria of what I said in my video, strong
The alpha male and
strong male role models. So they might have been raised by a single mom, but they spent much of their day with the strong male role model.
Yeah, but Mehdi, what about the single moms who like, for example, who do have children? In this day and age, all of them are sending them to the masjid, sending them to Islamic institutes, right? A lot of them are doing that. You know, those are the examples of the Muslim single moms, right? They're still raising strong single men. Does that make sense? They're still gonna have that male role model, right? Whether through a masjid, an Islamic institute, etc. And as for the non-Muslim women,
has that exposure, then yes, I would agree with you. It doesn't have to be a masjid. It could be a rugby team, football. Just
exactly.
Someone, they can. It's possible, yes. And this is what I'm saying. But I don't.
The whole world's watching you, by the way, darling. Yeah.
I don't want single moms to think that they can.
Yeah.
I don't.
Just give me 2 minutes, darling.
I don't want single.
Yeah. Sorry, Mehdi.
I don't want single moms to think that they themselves are sufficient to make a man out of their sons. They're not. Just as I am not sufficient to make a woman out of my daughter. I got no problem accepting this. I don't see why single moms take beef with that. You're not any less of a person, for goodness sake. I'm not any less of a man just because I can't teach my girl how to be a lady. It's because I'm a man. I'm too harsh and too rough. It's not going to work. And on the flip side,
Mehdi,
women by nature are very empathetic. They need to be. You guys have to wake up 10 times an hour with your babies in the middle of the night. You have to have that patience and that softness and that understanding. It's a requirement. Otherwise, you'd throw the baby out the window, right? You need that.
Yeah.
So we balance.
But don't you think, Mehdi? Don't you think? I know women in general, they're going to be strong in their own ways, but wouldn't you encourage brothers, if anything, can be like, look, she's a mother.
Encourage them to do.
She knows how to meaning consider single moms as well, because you say she's a mother. She already knows how to deal with a child. What if he marries a single girl who then has a baby or whatever, and she can't handle the baby? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Meaning single mothers are more motherly, right?
Once again, we're looking at exceptions. The bottom line is if a man goes into a marriage with a woman who's got a child,
I will.
If a man goes into a marriage with a woman who's got a child, he is going to be priority number 2, 3, or 4, however many kids there are. This is the truth, and he needs to know that. Now, if he still wants to do that, I did it, right? My wife had 3 kids. I'm raising 3 kids with her. So I looked at the situation. I analyzed the landscape.
They're not your biological kids.
No, they're not my biological kids. I raised 3 kids with her. They're not my biological children. Okay, but I am an exception to the rule. I wouldn't go about telling men left and right, this is what you should do. You should do this as well. Yeah. Because just because I made it work doesn't mean that we now ignore the stats. We don't ignore the stats. But there are exceptions to the rule if that's how you want me to end this note on. They're just very few and far between. Okay, Iman?
Yeah, so can you at least make a video and say and let the men know, because right now from your page it's just anti-single mum. Like no one is going to marry a single mum by looking at your page and agreeing with you currently with your videos. Give hope to us. It's not fair just because I had the exceptions of like 10 plus proposals. That's not fair if other women are going to be
Iman, you talk about your
frowned
10 plus
upon
proposals.
or judged upon because of your page.
You talk about your 10 plus proposals. Was there any particular reason you didn't want to accept any of them? They didn't quite.
They wouldn't, like, a lot of them. I'll be honest with you. A lot of them just didn't ask about my child, so it just felt like me being with my ex.
Right. What I'll say is this: even if you had 100 proposals, Iman, if you're not interested in them, that's still 0. The only proposals that count are the ones that you are interested in. Are you with me? Because
Yeah.
men, there will
Yeah.
always be men who want to marry women. Always, there'll be men who want to, you know what men want to do with
Yeah,
women.
in the ones that I was interested in, there was actually 2 where they actually you know, cared about my child. Even one was, he's young, 6 years younger than me, and you know, may Allah reward him, so good. And he said to me, don't lose hope, you know. And I was like, you know, it's such a traumatic experience what I've been through. He's like, don't lose hope. And he even said to me, and it was so nice, and I said, don't give me sympathy. He goes, I'm not. He goes, I'll always be there. And even if you're, here's what he said, he's 6 years younger than me, he's in his 20s, and he said, even if you're 50, right? That's probably because my mum looks young. He goes, even if you're 50 and we were alive by then and you were still single, I'd be willing to marry you if you would accept me. So they're amazing men that still exist like this. And I want you to give hope like these men.
Iman,
you know?
that man's simping. He's simping. I'm just gonna call
What do you
him out.
mean?
He's simping. That's simp behavior right there. Yeah, I'll let you look
No.
back in your own
He
time.
said
But
he said,
I'm
because
happy for you,
obviously,
Iman. I'm
no,
happy for you.
Mehdi, I wasn't accepting him. He would marry me right now if I'd.
I'm with
Do you
you. I'm with
understand?
you. I understand. Shafi,
Yeah.
look.
So that's
I'm
not
I'm I'm
sympathy.
happy for you that you have many options. I'm very happy for you, and I hope you find.
But I want you to let other women know that they do have options as well, and I want you to tell the brothers that they should follow the example of the, you know, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he did marry women for noble reasons, where he did marry them to help them out, to strengthen the community. Not what's happening right now. We're just going like this. Single mothers are going to be left there.
This situation for you is personal. I understand. I'm not going to push the boat.
Yeah.
I'm not going to push the envelope any further because it's clearly personal for you, and I respect that and I appreciate that. Okay, but
because I feel for the other single moms. It's not. Do you understand? It is personal, but it's not just me.
I understand.
It's
I understand.
my
But what I want
heart
to say is
cries
this,
for all
Iman.
the other single mothers as well.
What I want to say is this, Iman, is that I think we've been on this live for nearly 2 hours. Yeah. So I want to wrap this
I
up.
didn't realize.
I want to wrap this up. I want to thank you, Jazakallah khairan, firstly and foremostly, for your respect, because that other sister had to go straight. I have a feeling she was just trying to pull a stunt by disrespecting me like that. So I want to thank you for your respect. And
I'm a fair person, Mehdi. Okay, if you know, obviously, if you said something wrong in my presence, I'm not going to just tolerate that. Do you understand? But alhamdulillah, you gave me respect. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I was like this.
Yeah,
I was like, it's going to be like a
virtual
virtual
coming on as
photo.
well, because I know I can be confrontational as well. So I respect you having the courage to come on, and I thank you for your respect. And I hope this has been a beneficial live to all those watching. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you, Iman. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I wish you and your daughter all the best for the future, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Likewise, guys, please do follow us. If I want to see your views, you know, on the live and stuff like that. What questions do you have? What topics do you want to address? Because I couldn't keep up with the comments. I read a few. So then we can, you know, if Mehdi does agree to have another live with me or someone else, he can address these topics and we can address these issues.
All right.
Because right now I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for the live today.
No